Today I have 3 wood projects to get your home ready for spring. Welcome to the Chic Show. What Would You Make is hosted by Brenda at Rustic and Lace DIY, Christine at Divine Designs, and guest hosted today by Emily from Farm Charm Chic. Be sure and check out their channels in the description box along with the playlist. My first project today is a Mardi Gras wreath ornament. For this first project, I'm using this little wood round that I used on another project at one time, but I'm going to be using the back side of it, and I'm going to go ahead and paint it with Waverly chalk paint in plaster. I'm also going to be using that little wood crown from Dollar Tree that you saw just a minute ago. I'm going to start with this green acrylic paint, and I'm going to paint just that strip along the bottom of the crown. Using another acrylic paint in grape, I believe it is, I'm painting the top part of the crown. To add some detail to the purple part of the crown, I'm using IOD's stamps in ephemeral type and a gold ink pad. And I'm just going to be stamping this, as I said, only on the purple part. Now I'm going to highlight around the crown and around the brim of the crown using that gold ink pad. If you're familiar with Mardi Gras, then you know that it is a big deal in the South. So everything this time of year is just another holiday to decorate for, and who doesn't love that? I felt like I needed to jazz up the green part a little bit, so I'm using these gold stick-on rhinestone stickers from Dollar Tree. I then added a little detail using the stick-on stars from Dollar Tree as well. Lastly, I used one of IOD's stamps from the Apothecary labels. After I painted the wood round, I thought I would like it white, but it seemed a little bit too plain. So I thought, well, I'll use that gold ink pad and just kind of stamp around on it to try to make it look a little bit like gold leafing. I didn't like that either. So then I thought, well, I'll just spread that ink around, and I didn't like that either. So I ended up painting it with this acrylic paint in Sunbeam. Mardi Gras colors are purple, green, and gold, so this really was the best choice for this wood round. I'm using some pieces of tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree to put on the back of the crown so that it will stand out from that wood round just a bit. So that I could change out the decorations on my wreath, I just added some twine to the top and tied it to the middle of my wreath. I thrifted this piece of wood for 25 cents, and I'm just going to give the entire thing a coat of black chalk paint in ink by Waverly. I did try to remove that paper off the front, but it was on there pretty good, so I think we can just cover it up. I thrifted this hymnal specifically so that I could use the pages out of it. So I'm going to be using this page right here, and I'm going to be tearing it out and then using some water to tear around the parts that I want that I'm going to attach to the front of the wood block. This paper was a little bit thicker than I was anticipating, so I did have to work at it just a bit. But I just want each edge to have that torn look rather than a straight edge. Once I have it to the size that I want, I'm going to wad it up and make it as wrinkly as possible. And then I'll unwrap it and make sure that it's going to fit on the front of my piece. Using my finger sander, I'm going to sand around the edges of the block, being careful not to expose that paper that is on the front. I'm also going to sand around each of the flat sides as well. I'm going to apply a coat of this decoupage onto the front of the block so that I can place the music sheet down on top. I'll also coat the music sheet with more of the decoupage. Now, although this paper does have a patina to it, I do want it to look a little bit more rustic. So I'm going to achieve that by adding on some Waverly Antique wax. I'm going to brush it over the top, not waiting too long, and then I'm going to wipe it back with a wet wipe. I did go all around the wood piece because there's something about that antique wax that really makes black paint even richer. Once everything is dry, I'm going to embellish the top with a little bit of greenery and a burlap flower. I was trying to decide between this flower and this smaller one, and ultimately I think the smaller one looks better. I'll attach everything down with some hot glue, let it set up, and then this project is ready to be styled.
It never rains in California. The sun is always shining bright. People are smiling, making plans, hiding behind their shade. The sun is
For a project that's a little more dramatic, try creating a spring-inspired hanger to display dried florals, photos, or even, as its intended use, for clothing. I'm giving my wooden hanger a coat of Waverly chalk paint and plaster. I'm actually giving it 2 coats, and I'm not painting the metal hanger part. I'm just painting the wood parts. And I'm going to be piecing together some scraps of rub-on transfers that I have. All of these transfers are from IOD. Now, once I have that neutral background of that white plaster chalk paint, I'm going to go over that with Waverly chalk paint in moss. I'm just arranging my transfers in a way that feels balanced and beautiful, and I'm just layering them on top of each other when necessary, and I'm just wrapping them around the hanger, trying not to think too much about it. And finally, I'm taking some of the typography that I had that was left over from another project, and I'm just using my fingernail to apply the transfers on the bar across the hanger. It just seems to be a little bit easier with my own fingernail. Now I'm looking at it, I think I need to jazz it up just a little bit. So I'm going to be using some scrap pieces from some of the gilded transfers from IOD. And I'm applying these with no rhyme or reason, just in various places, just to add a little bit of shine. Now we need to do something with that hanger part. So I'm going to be using some gold paint, and I'm just going to paint that on the front and the back and even the little knob underneath the hanger. I hope you found some spring inspiration with these wood projects today, and be sure and check out our host channels in the description box below along with the playlist. And if you need some more inspiration, check out this video right here. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to share the chic. Bye now.